Hello and welcome back to the 816 to the 6XO podcast. I'm your host, Joe Ramos, and today we'll be going over this past Sunday's matchup against Trevor Lawrence, also known as Sunshine, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. We'll have all that and more when we come back. The Chiefs elected the receiver to start the game against the Jags, and the Jags have huevos of steel and decided to onside kick to start the game, recovered it, but the Chiefs' defense has been amazing these past few weeks, and they forced it to a quick 3-and-out. Bringing on Mr. Magic Man himself, Patrick Mahomes, to not only dominate the drive, but dominate the whole entire game. Again, Patrick Mahomes was 26 for 35, 333 yards, 4 touchdowns. Did have a pick on the day, a pass that didn't need to be forced, and it was kind of forced. You saw, if you're at the game, maybe even on TV as well, that as he let go of the football, the safety head came down, and he was on the route the whole time and just jumped the route perfectly, played the ball well, and had the pick there, but it ended up hurting the Chiefs at all. Patrick played very well. Also scrambled well, had 7 carries for 39 yards on the day. Really producing well, using his feet, knowing when to get out of the pocket. And the man has just been dominating the league this whole year. Some other people, Skip Bayless, think that he isn't the MVP frontrunner. I do. I may be a little bit biased only because he plays for the Chiefs, but also if you look at his stats, 25 touchdowns this year, I believe, to 7 interceptions, almost 3,000 passing yards. He's on record, on pace to break his record. I apologize. Sorry, a little mess up there. Just playing very well. His decision making is a lot better than it was last year. Just good football overall. Another guy I'd like to bring up, none other than TK, Travis Kelce. Guy dominated again. You saw him talking a lot during the game, especially to those 2 safeties in the defensive backfield for the Jags. They would be triply covered him, but that would leave other guys open like Noah Gray, Marquez Valdez-Scantling for those touchdowns. Just overall, dominant football player. Like I said, getting triple team. He had 6 receptions on the day, 81 yards, scoring a touchdown. That was his first touchdown, though, since the game they played against the Raiders when he had 4 touchdowns. But he's not a guy that says, oh, I need touchdowns to produce. He's always been a team guy, always doing what he can to help the team win. He's playing very well. One of the, I would say, leading receivers in football as a tight end. So the man's playing very good football this year and contributing in any way that he can. Juju Smith-Schuster started off having a very good football game. Then the man goes to catch the football and gets absolutely rocked, knocked out, went to the ground, got hit, and he was holding his hands up like this. It sucks to see that, especially when you're at the game, because you see the whole play develop. You see everything happen. And when a guy comes up stiff, you could hear a pin drop in the stadium. And for a guy that's been producing very well for the Chiefs, especially within the last 3 weeks, it's scary. The team came to the fence very quick. You could see a little scuffle going on. Just sucks to see. His mom did come out with a post saying that her baby was okay. But, yeah, obviously prayers out to him because head injuries are not fun to see in the NFL. It was also a flag thrown on the play, but it was picked up. Don't understand why, because he led with his head, helmet-to-helmet contact. Very, very questionable call. The NFL has been really wanting to protect players, but yet you pick up a flag and nothing happens. The Chiefs fans got loud. They started saying some questionable phrases, and I've heard from friends and family that the producers of the game had gone to commercial break because some expletives are being said by the loud Arrowhead crowd. Chiefs Kingdom was rocking, especially after that play, and they did not like what the refs had to say during the pickup of the flag. I think it was actually later in that drive, too, that another questionable call, or non-call, I should say, on MVS. The man was a defenseless receiver up in the air. You could say it wasn't a penalty, which it actually wasn't, but you could also see why it would be. The safety had launched himself, leading with his shoulder, but also making contact with his head. A lot of people think it was a legal tackle, but if you saw in weeks past when the Chiefs played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Juan Thornhill had laid a hit to Mike Evans, and they had thrown a flag on that, and I believe it was something of the same caliber, launching your shoulders, but they had thrown the flag. So you kind of see what I would say as favoritism there, with it being Tom Brady, and you always know how the NFL helps him out, but that's neither here nor there. It's just something where the NFL has kind of been inconsistent with the protection of players, and their goal is to protect the players. But if you're not consistent, there's going to be some trouble brought up in those instances. Like I said, prayers out to Juju, playing good football for the Chiefs, and just very excited for what's to come after he recovers from his injury. Kadarius Toney, 4 receptions, 57 yards, a touchdown, 33 rushing yards on 2 attempts. That man wasn't injured in New York. He won it out. You can see the playmaking that he's already having on Kansas City. His first career touchdown after he spent 2 years in New York. His first career touchdown was with the Kansas City Chiefs this past Sunday. The dude kind of threw some shade to the Giants when he so-called hobbled into the end zone to show and then celebrated knowing he was healthy, skipped all the way in. And the man's so explosive. You saw on one of his plays, the man readjusted his gloves before going up and mossing 2 defenders. The guy's a beast. And especially in these next 2 weeks that I believe Juju will be out, just he'll dominate. He'll definitely, I believe, be the number one receiver for the Chiefs during that time. McCole will still get his looks. You'll see guys in Justin Watson also getting more plays. Marquez, obviously, a very good deep threat as well. But Kadarius Toney is just very explosive, very versatile, just very good football player. And you can see that playing with a quarterback in Patrick Mahomes that really opens up his options. The guy can run jet sweeps. He can come across the field. He'll run deep routes for you if you need him to. Got great hops. Just a great overall athlete. And Kadarius Toney, like I keep saying, dog. Kansas City Chiefs defense. My man Kellen literally preached that a couple weeks ago. Defense, 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 the second half of the season. And so far, that comment that he made still reigns true. What more can I say about them? They've been playing very well. The linebackers as a whole, they're all going absolutely insane. Leo Chenal, the rookie, played well this past week. Willie Gay and Nick Bolton stepped up as young linebackers, especially after losing a veteran in Anthony Hitchens to clear some cap room this year. Those guys know the game very well. They play hard. It's just very impressive to see from younger guys. They play with a lot of energy. They hit hard, always to the ball as quick as possible, and just a lot of smarts in their game too. Trent McDuffie, he missed some games this year, but in the games that he has played in, absolute animal. He only allowed one catch last week that it kept the drive alive for the Jags, and they ended up scoring a touchdown, but that's neither here nor there. The rest of the game, incredible. Diving on almost every play, getting the ball out, getting the hands in the face of the wide receivers. Just good football around from Trent McDuffie, especially in a rookie. You like to see that. He was our number one pick for the Chiefs this year. And with a pick like that, you want to see them produce. And he's just been playing well ever since he came back from his injury. Chris Jones, Colin Sanders, dog. The guys have been playing so well. Colin Saunders named himself this week on Twitter the CEO of Stuff Nation. So talking about stuff in the run, he's been very well in that aspect. I believe playing better than a guy in Derek Nottie, which you haven't seen a lot on the field. Chris Jones, CEO of Sack Nation, guys just played very well this year. Kellen made the prediction of him being Defensive Player of the Year. I can see that happening as long as he keeps producing. Very good, very, very, very freaking good football overall. The Chiefs are just playing well, starting to fire on all cylinders. Is kind of something you like to see coming into this part of the season, the last half. Very dynamic, very fundamentally sound, and it's just big congratulations to the man Carlos Dunlap, 41st person ever in NFL history to record 100 sacks, and is also one of 8 active players to do so as well. So 100 career sacks, big congratulations to him. I believe a very good pickup that he has been this year. We were really excited when we had signed him in the late part of camp, and he started his production really in the game against the Colts and has just been very good off the edge since then. But speaking of edge, Our boy Frank Clark is coming back, served his 2-game suspension. And also, not just in football, but I saw this today actually on Twitter. He had served the Kansas City community, giving out turkeys to, I believe, over 500 families. So it's cool to see not only has he been struggling with being off the field for 2 weeks, but he tried to turn that into something positive with giving back to the community, doing things that he knows is right, not only in his mind, but in his heart, doing good not for himself, but for others. And I think that's one thing that can help him keep a positive mindset, but also not just to make him feel good, but to let people know he really is not only a good football player, but a good man off the football field. Harrison Butker made 3 of 4 extra points, but the thing is not making the 3, it's missing his 1. That's become more consistent in the past weeks with him missing kicks, sometimes some big kicks that if he makes them, it doesn't force us to go into overtime like last week. Doesn't force us to be more stressed out. Typically, you think the guy has nails, and he's kind of just been struggling. Something that he needs to figure out, which he will. He's one of the league's best kickers under guys like Justin Tucker as well. Justin Tucker's a very good kicker. He'll figure it out. He's got a good leg. Still probably trying to figure out that plant leg and the ankle and that injury, but you can see his power came back a lot this week in his leg, so we will see as we move forward. Hopefully, he just continues the grind and stays up to it. The draft pick that really not working out so much for us this year, but he is young. He is a rookie. Sky Moore. A little disappointing, but with the way the coaching is in Kansas City, I believe he'll figure it out. When will it happen? I don't know. Will it be this year? No idea. Could be next year, but the Chiefs themselves know how to coach guys like that. Keep the confidence up because typically they go right back to them. Now on to the Jags a little bit. The Jags had forced 3 turnovers on the day, one of them being the pick from Patrick Mahomes, one of them being a fumble on Isaiah Pacheco, and another one being a fumble on Jody Fortson on the kick return that was slightly booted downfield and he fumbled it. Typically, you force 3 turnovers and you win the football game, right? No, the Chiefs still played well enough to win the football game. I would say they fired on all 3 cylinders on the games. They played well, and with 3 turnovers, still winning by 2 scores, 10 points. Just very dominant football team. Yeah, the Jags do have a bright future. I believe they have everything coming together. If it's not this year or next year, I think they'll be a force to be reckoned with, especially with a coach in Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence, Sunshine. Just very bright future for them down in Jacksonville. Now it is time for a new segment we like to call Joe's Crystal Ball. Very excited. It's a segment where I make 5 predictions for the next week. If they're right or wrong, something we'll look into next week, but got 5 predictions, and we'll see if I am right in the coming week. I believe Mahomes will have over 315 passing yards. I do think Isaiah Pacheco will score a touchdown this coming week. A little bit on that 3 running backs that we have. I think Clyde may see his production slow down a little bit. And it'll be more on Jarrett McKinnon and Isaiah Pacheco. But Pacheco will score a touchdown this next week. Kadarius Toney will have over 100 total yards. His production is upping and keeps going. The man's a beast. Freak. I love KT. Love that addition in Kansas City. So, yes, over the century mark this next week. Travis Kelce, my next prediction, over 8 receptions. He did have 6 this past week. But in the team coming up that we have this week, it will be vital that we get him the football, open up our run game a little bit more too. With him getting his receptions, it'll be people focusing on him. This way we can run the football up the gut. And next up for the 5th prediction is Mr. CEO of Sack Nation himself, big man number 95, Chris Jones, will have 1.5 sacks this next week. Very dominant at rushing the passer. Very good football player and defender, and hopefully he keeps Kellen's comment true of becoming the defensive player of the year. Overall, it was a good team win, 27-17 over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Really excited to see how the Chiefs play this next week. But anyways, that'll wrap up this week's episode. Thank you for tuning in to 816 to 660 podcast. I'm your host, Joe Ramos, and be sure to tune in next week as we take on our division rival in the second game we play them against this year, the Los Angeles Chargers. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Deuces.